another exciting video from Gobbler Ridge Farms, and today we are making repairs to the greenhouse. Now, last year I timber framed my wife a greenhouse, and I used plastic drop cloth to cover it with, and I was going to come back this year, put roof panels on and that type of thing, but due to the COVID crisis, our pay has been severely cut, business is down, and I can't afford to put the roof panels on it this year. So I was watching another YouTube video where this guy over in Russia actually built a domed hut using stretch wrap, and he also built a kayak out of stretch wrap. So that got me thinking, they use stretch wrap at work all the time and wrap, pallets that weigh 1,000 pounds with it. And it's clear, what if I use stretch wrap to replace the plastic drop cloth on the greenhouse? And let's see what happens, because what happened to my plastic drop cloth, between the sun and the wind, you can see it shredded it. Just absolutely, it didn't even, it made it maybe one season. And so the stretch wrap, which I have already put on the roof up there, and you can see straight through the roof to the trees, so I know the sunlight is getting through. That is, it's kind of breezy right now, and you can see the plastic drop cloth is moving. That stretch wrap, that is 3 layers up on my roof right now, and it's not missing a beat. It's holding very tight. One of the things I'll recommend if you do decide to do this, I put fascia boards around here, around the outside of the greenhouse, and I'll roll the stretch wrap up several times on top of itself so that it makes a good bond when you staple through it to the fascia board. Otherwise, the wind is just going to rip the stretch wrap right out of the staple, and nothing flat. But once you put a couple wraps on stretch wrap, you gotta cut that stuff. It is amazing stuff. That's why we use it in the shipping industry all the time. So today I am going to replace all of this nasty stuff that's all tattered and torn with stretch wrap. All right, here are the 3 rolls of stretch wrap that I'm going to use. This first one right over here is one that I got from Harbor Freight. I didn't even know Harbor Freight had stretch wrap, and I was in there one day using my 20% off coupon and saw it. And I think it was like 26, 27 bucks. So it was already about $10 cheaper than you can get at the big box store. Plus my 20% off coupon, I grabbed a roll. This roll is something that we had when we were moving. It also, this one comes from Home Depot, and the wrapper's gone on it, but I believe it's one that they advertise for wrapping couches with. It has a slightly softer texture than this one. This one feels more like an industrial type grade, but I still have a couple of sections on the roof that only have 2 rounds of stretch wrap, and I'm doing 3 on it, so I don't want to run out of that. So I'm going to use this for the upper section, and because it's a greenhouse, I'm going to do the lower section in some green. I do not know if it is going to cut down any additional UV light or what have you. We're going to check that out, but we wanted to have a lower section for plants that might not need quite as much direct sunlight. So I'm going to wrap the lower section of the house using this pretty green. After all, it is a greenhouse, right? I've got stretch wrap completely around the greenhouse. A little green on the bottom, clear on the top, because I'm so fashionable. Here's my door though, and I wrapped all the way around the door, and so obviously I'm going to have to cut into this stretch wrap in order to get through the door. Now, I work in a distribution center. I'm a systems engineer for the WMS system, so I don't really go out and wrap pallets, but I tip my hat to the guys who do that 8 hours a day. Woo, because it kicked my tail. But in order to make stretch wrap hold what you're holding, whether it be a pallet, a couch, pallet of furniture, a greenhouse, when you get to the end of your run, hey, I'm doing a video over here. Quiet on the set. Pomeranian's always barking out orders. Anyway, so when you get to the end of your pallet or the end of your house, you have to kind of hold the stretch wrap and put a little stretch into it, a little bite into it, and that's what causes it to hold. Quiet on the set, dog. And so, if I just go ahead and cut around my door now to get into the door, all that stretch is going to yank this stuff right around the side and pretty much undo everything I've done. So I have some Gorilla Tape, and what I'm going to do, if I can get into the Gorilla Tape, apparently they package it with Gorilla Tape. Apparently they package it with Gorilla Tape. Wow. I may have to tell the guys at the warehouse they need to start using this to ship pallets or ship our product. We'll never get any damages. Customer may never get into it. But, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Gorilla Tape and I'm going to go all the way around the door frame, and then I'm going to staple it right here, and then I'll cut the stretch wrap away. And that way it'll go ahead and hold that tension. So let me get to doing that, and then we'll be able to cut into the greenhouse. I might even camp out here tonight. It is so awesome. If I could get the Gorilla Tape to unstick from itself. They must use Gorilla Tape to make the Gorilla Tape.
Wouldn't painter's tape do just as well?
Now you want something, I'm going to staple through it.
Gotcha.
Painter's tape wouldn't do anything.
Wouldn't hold up to it.
Nope. Golly. Maybe I should have used painter's tape. Golly. Well.
Told you how much I love my greenhouse.
Huh?
Have I told you how much I love my greenhouse?
Now, have I told you how much I'm enjoying putting it together?
I can tell.
Alright, where's my staple gun? Oh. Alright, now I'm gonna go staple it, put some wood pieces around it to frame it, and then I'll cut the door out. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm taking 1x2s, and at each post I'm going to install 1x2, and what this will do, it will keep the stretch wrap from bowing the entire length of the structure and only in each individual section between posts. Alright, putting the roof on has been a little bit tedious, and it never feels like I'm getting anywhere. That's because the first round that I put on, I didn't have any stretch wrap up there, and I had to use a board to kind of roll of stretch wrap down to me. Once I got through there, the second round was much easier because I now had something to support the stretch wrap. But now I'm putting on a third layer just to make sure I have good strength up on the roof. So that gets to be pretty tedious. So I'm only going to show you one time how I did it, and you can adjust as necessary. Here's my trick. Okay, if you'll look closely at the roll of stretch wrap, that little cardboard tube that the stretch wrap is rolled around, I have a long rope threaded through that, and I'm going to place it on top of the roof so that I have roughly a 6-inch overlap, and then I'm going to take my extension ladder and I'm going to move that into position so that it holds the stretch wrap up there on the roof. Okay, I did have it come off and hit me in the head one time during this process, but the other 47 went off good. I'm then going to roll up the rope. I'm going to coil that up, and as you can see here, I'm going to make a bad throw, but I am going to throw the rope over the top of the building, wide left. And then I'll go and take the other side of the rope, and I'm just going to do the same thing. Throw it, whoop, right over the top of the building. Now once I've done that, I can take out my staple gun, and I will staple the beginning of the wrap underneath this side of the greenhouse. Once I have that stapled up there under the eave there, I'm going to go around to the other side of the greenhouse. And now I can take those ropes that I threw over from the other side, and those are just going to be like the reins on an ox cart. I'm going to kind of line those up. And once I have them lined up, I'm going to start trying to pull on them evenly. As you can see, this is now pulling the stretch wrap up and over the top of the greenhouse and right down to me. A one-man job. I put a little stretch in the stretch wrap, and that'll keep the rain from pooling on there and make it a low spot. And then I just smooth it out so that it, makes contact with the previous round that I did. And I cut it off with a knife, and then I can take my ropes and lower that down to the ground. I'm going to roll the stretch wrap up so that it makes a good place for me to staple it to the final side. And there you have it. One round down. Alright, that's one layer of stretch wrap. The roof with overhang is around 14 to 16 feet. And with an 18-inch roll of stretch wrap with overlap, I get about 12 inches per throw over the top. So that means I got to do this thing about 16 times 3 rounds. That takes a minute. So that's how I do it, and I stay pretty safe doing that. But it takes time. I'm now on my third round, and I only have 7 more throws to go. So I'm gonna finish off this roof. Okay, as the stretch wrap on the roof sticks to itself and starts forming one cohesive unit, if any wind, got into there and what have you, it would try to lift the entire roof up. So what I've done, I've taken these 1x2s, and this is a timber framed greenhouse. So there are, I've only got 5 rafters up there. So I'm in each section putting a 1x2 there, 1x2 there, and I'm about to put this next one up right over here. And that way, if I do get some kind of wind and what have you, only this one section here will try to bow. And since it's so much shorter than the entire span, it's going to be maintain much more tension on it, less likely to stretch. And the less it stretches, the less it sags. The less it sags, well, hopefully the water will run off and not make a puddle right in the middle of my roof. So that's the idea. Let me get up there and show you how I make them. Well, I went up and took measurements of where all the purlins come across, and so I'm just going to drill a hole here. I've already got it marked out. There, now I'll have a pilot hole, because I don't want to be up on the roof trying to start something in this little pressure treated 1x2 and trying to hold on. And with the roof being made out of stretch wrap, if I were to slip and fall, I'm probably going to hit the ground because there's nothing to grab. It's like a slide board up there. Okay, let me show you the nails that I'm using. Okay, these are the nails that I'm using. There are these 8-foot asphalt panels that were corrugated, and I guess supposed to be like plastic corrugated roofing, to a replacement for galvanized roofing, and apparently they did not hold up very well, and so there was no need to sell these nails, so I got them on clearance. And on the end here it has this little rubber tip, just pretty much like a nail used to put galvanized roofing on. So when I puncture the stretch wrap up on the roof, this is going to kind of seal that up. So these are what I'm using. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and start these in all the holes, because I don't want to be trying to hold on up there, hold the nail, hit the hammer with this bouncing around up there while I'm trying to get it started. So I'm going to go ahead and get these started while I'm down here on terra firma. I mean the ground. Hey y'all, watch this. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. That's normally what you say right before you get hurt. So I'm trying not to do that while we're having a coronavirus outbreak. So anyway, let me go over here and nail these things. All right, that's the way I nail them up there without climbing on top of that roof. I don't want to be falling through and have my wife see me hanging around inside our greenhouse like a vining plant or something. All right, one more section to go and the roof will be done. Got this swing and slide anchor kit. It was on clearance for $5.53. It comes with these anchors and it's supposed to have some strapping material. And the reason it's on clearance, it was all it had were these anchors right here. So we went ahead and got it anyway, and we'll take some pipe, hanger wire or whatever, and mount this to the wood down here. I'm just screwing these in until I can't go anymore. Now I put this little piece of wood down in there, and now give it a little turn. Steady as she goes, full speed ahead. 50 turns to the east. Everything takes longer than you think it does. But anyway, I'm going to sink this down in the ground. We actually, in a couple of days, have some bad weather. We had an EF3 tornado hit the other day, moved a house right out into the middle of the highway. So this thing right now, with all this stretch wrap on it, is a big giant kite. So I'm going to get back to doing this before the storm comes in tomorrow and see if I can't get this anchored down, at least to the best of my ability. All right, steady as she goes, steady as she goes. Okay, got it in the ground right there. I almost wanted to break out in song, "You spin me round, round like a record, baby," but I got it. I'm going to tamp that down a little bit. That stick, and I believe, I don't know, it may not survive an EF3 tornado or what have you, but it can't hurt. So 2 down, 2 to go. And we'll get this greenhouse anchored down. Okay, I've got the anchors down here, and like I said, we got these on clearance. Actually, the kit, I was looking at it upside down a little while ago. I thought it was $12. It was $21 and something, basically $22, and we got it for $5.35, I think. So for the difference in the price, I had some of this stuff, just laying around the barn. So I'm going to connect it with that. And I think this is a 3/8 by 4.5 inch stainless steel eye bolt. So I'm just going to screw the eye bolt in to the 6x6 down here at the bottom corner, and then I'm going to hook these in here, like so. And wow, that right there, I think the anchor will snap or pull out of the ground before these things let loose. So let me go ahead and connect all this together, and I'll have it anchored in the ground. All right. I don't know how much of a tornado that'll handle, but at least high winds, I shouldn't have to go looking for where it landed. Okay, that's going to do it for the rebuild of the greenhouse using stretch wrap. I did hang some rope lights when I got through with the anchors, and I told my wife, hey, this now looks like a Louisiana fish camp. But it has made it through one storm already. The stretch wrap performed very well, and I will report back to you the effect it has on the growing of the plants in the coming weeks. Stretch wrap is made for indoor use in a warehouse environment, so I don't think it'll have an effect, but we shall see. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I'll see all you turkeys on the next one.